Welcome back. Now, schools have reopened today in several states. In Delhi, classes 9 to 12 have opened today, and there's been some apprehension among students, among teachers. There's also been a lot of excitement over schools reopening. Well, to talk more about this, we're joined by Prajita Gautam, President, Delhi Parent Association, Dr. Romil Tikku, Director, Internal Medicine, Max Healthcare, and Praneet Mungali, Trustee, Sanskriti Group of Schools. Thank you so much all for joining us. And Prajita Gautam, first to you. Your thoughts and what do you have to say about schools reopening? I know a lot of parents have been concerned about COVID and, the fears of, spikes happening. If you could just share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Gargi. हमने जब दिल्ली के स्कूल्स ओपन का प्लान किया जा रहा था, यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड कि मनीष सिसोदिया जी ने मेल आईडी भी शेयर किया था. व्हाट वी डिड, हमने ट्विटर पे अपना एक पोल क्रिएट कर दिया just to create the transparency between the thoughts of the parents and the of course school department. तो वहाँ पर हमारा जो आज भी रिजल्ट है, it is 79%, means 79% जो पेरेंट्स हैं आज भी विलिंग नहीं है बच्चों को स्कूल भेजने के लिए. एवरी पेरेंट हैज देयर ओन रीजन कि कोई ये कहता है कि वैक्सीन नहीं लगा, कोई ये कहता है कि मेरे घर में ऑलरेडी हमने सेकेंड वेव में बहुत बुरी हालत है की. दैट इज द रीजन वी आर नॉट विलिंग टू सेंड देम, क्योंकि अभी वैक्सीन नहीं आया. टीचर्स का हमें नहीं पता कितने वैक्सीनेटेड है ऑल. अब मैं इसके बेस में और चीजें आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहूंगी. ओपनिंग ऑफ स्कूल्स, आई थिंक ये जो बहुत जल्दी में डिसीजन लिया गया है, रीजन बिहाइंड, नीति आयोग ऑलरेडी बोल चुका है सितंबर मंथ में आपके 3 to 4 लाख के केसेस आएंगे और उसमें भी अब अराउंड 20 to 25% उनको हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन की जरूरत पड़ेगी. सेकंड, डॉक्टर त्रेहान का जगह जगह पे मीडिया के थ्रू स्टेटमेंट चल रहा है. तो ये दो चीजें हैं, इसने और इम्पैक्ट किया है पेरेंट्स को उस चीज में डालने के लिए. थर्ड, आप हमने केरला में केसेस देखे हैं, बढ़ रहे हैं. फोर्थ, पेरेंट्स ने बाकी स्टेट्स में देखा है जहां जहां स्कूल खुले हैं वहां केसेस बढ़ रहे हैं. इसी के साथ मैं इसमें कुछ डेटा आपके साथ शेयर करती हूं जो कल हमने देखा. पंजाब में जहां पे जो पहले केसेस आ रहे थे 6.5, जो हम बच्चों की अगर मैं बात करूं तो वो केस स्कूल ओपन होने के बाद वो दैट इंक्रीज अप टू 16.1, यानी कि अप्रॉक्स 10% इंक्रीज हो गया बच्चों में इन्फेक्शन रेशियो. तो आप ये देखिए, जब पेरेंट्स ये सारी चीजें देखते हैं तो उनको लगता है कि वही वाली बात है, खतरा भी टला नहीं है, थर्ड वेव है. इट्स वेरी रिस्की टू सेंड देयर किड्स इन केस कुछ हो जाता है. सबसे बड़ी बात आज की डेट में, इफ स्कूल्स आर आस्किंग अस टू सेंड द चाइल्ड विद द एनओसी, व्हाई गवर्नमेंट एंड स्कूल्स आर नॉट रेडी टू टेक देयर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी?
Right, because I think the government doesn't want any parent to feel that they have to send, and those who are sending, then you're right. I mean, they want the parents to take responsibility. Dr. Tikku, your response to that? A lot of concerns, especially since there'd been such a talk of a third wave coming, but at the same time, a lot of who work in education have said that it's high time children get back to school, that keeping them out of school has caused too much damage already.
Well, Gargi, I feel the time has come from Zoom to the classroom, I would say. Because if you look at the data, in Delhi, we hardly have any cases now. There are 20 odd cases, and that's been the trend for the last month or so. And see, schools don't give you only education. It's about the child's mental health. It's about the social, emotional development, their nutrition. And there's been a prolonged closure, which has had a huge psychological impact on children. And keeping them glued to the screens from where the lessons are delivered is a challenge, is a huge challenge. And it's become a huge psychological thing for children. So that's why I would say we have to go by data. And if you look at the studies all over the world, that COVID does not cause severe disease in children. If you look at the largest study which was done in US regarding school reopening and COVID in North Carolina, they were expecting 900 odd positive cases. They found only 32 cases which originated from the school. So there is increasing evidence from all over the world, whether it's Australia, Singapore, France, Germany. There are lots of studies which say reopening of schools does not pose a huge risk of infection to children. But having said that, with countries where the vaccination is low like ours, there might be a spike after reopening of schools if we don't take adequate precautions. See, in Israel, they opened a secondary school, and because of heat wave, they had to switch on the ACs. They were liberal with the masks, and there was a spike. See, three things are very important, I would say, when we open schools. It's not a big deal keeping children safe. I would say the first and foremost, wear your masks properly. Then ventilation, very important. Switch off the air conditioners, keep the doors, windows open, and social distancing. These are three important points. Safely reopening the schools is possible, provided all of us take adequate precautions and do certain lifestyle adjustments till the children of our country get vaccinated.
And Dr. Tikku, this, the fact that, yes, the statistic is there in Punjab, there has been an increase since, a spike in cases since schools opened. The figures there have grown by 9.6% and schools in the state had opened on August 2nd. But at the same time, do you think we're better managing this disease now also in a lot of urban areas like Delhi? Hopefully the vaccination coverage has been a lot more. Hopefully parents and, of course, teachers and staff in schools are vaccinated.
Of course, yes. We have to focus on the vaccination, especially of the parents and the teachers and the support staff. Most of them have had one shot, but that doesn't give you adequate protection. But as I said earlier, with children, see, if you look at the data, the percentage of children who get hospitalized with COVID is 0.1 to 1.9%, almost similar to the data in India during the first wave and the second wave. Less than 5% children got hospitalized. So let's not panic. We have to see the situation at a given point of time. At this point of time, when we have 20, 30 odd cases in Delhi, I don't think it's a huge risk to reopen schools, provided we follow the norms. The schools have to follow the norms, whether it's staggered lunch break, whether it's the thermal screening, whether it's the seating rearrangement, they all have to work. We all have to work together and take adequate precautions, as I said. Otherwise, life will never get back to normal. There comes a time when you have to take a call and feel whether the level of risk posed by COVID is low enough for us to go back to normal life. Life has to come back to normal at some point.
All right. Praneet, Mungali, your views?
Yeah, Gargi, I think I endorse what Dr. Tikku has said, because we have to go by what the science is informing us right now. And whether it is people like Dr. Guleria here or Dr. Fauci, I think there is overwhelming evidence that, provided we accept the fact that we are probably in an endemic stage right now, where we have to learn to live and manage the virus right now, the risks of a prolonged closure have already reached a stage where they're outweighing the benefits. Especially in a country as large and heterogeneous like we are. It's not a monolith. You have rural areas where it's an uneven supply of education which is taking places. There are girl children from underprivileged families who might never come back to school. So the issue is more.
That's right.
And like Dr. Tikku said, we obviously have to calibrate the situation where, whether we use a 5% positivity metric or we use another positivity metric, that as and when there is a bump and a spike, we recalibrate, we reassess what the right paradigm is for that particular situation. But it is incumbent upon all of us now to have the dialogue, to have comfort and consensus building, to recognize that we can't be in this stage ad infinitum. Children have to come back to school at some stage. The condition will vary, and obviously if the condition in Kerala is not conducive and the condition in Delhi is different, each state, every locality has to come up with its metric to make sure that there is flexibility of choice for the students. No students are left behind, and more importantly, the learning loss which is happening at a national scale, and the quality of human capital, which is such an important resource. It's as important as the national health. In the long run, that is not sacrificed by just being at one end of the spectrum.
All right. Prajita, Gautam, now after having heard, all these views, it clearly this is something that everybody needs to work together at the authorities, schools, parents. There needs to be cooperation. Yes, there may be a spike in cases, but we have to be very alert to that. Your view on that, on this about working together, and the fact that hopefully a vaccination coverage is there among the parents and among the school staff.
As far as both are concerned, their perspective is perfectly fine. But हमें यहाँ पे देखना है कि बच्चे हमारे हैं, right? तो अगर पेरेंट्स आर नॉट रेडी टू सेंड देयर किड्स, क्योंकि उसके बहुत सारे रीजन हैं. वी ऑल हैव सीन मेनी केसेस. इनफैक्ट सेकेंड वेव में हम सबने देखा है कि किस तरीके से ऑक्सीजन की कमी हुई या मेडिसिन की कमी हुई. हमारे पास बेसिक जो हमारे पास फैसिलिटीज होनी चाहिए. इनफैक्ट अब मैं हॉस्पिटल की बात करूं, आपको भी पता है,
also pointed out the situation in Delhi now and how cases are very less, and so the circumstances are conducive to opening schools.
गार्गी, दिस हैज हैपेंड इन द मंथ ऑफ फेब्रुअरी और मार्च आल्सो. जब गवर्नमेंट ने डिसाइड किया था ओपन करने का स्कूल्स को, तब भी ऐसे हुआ था. तब भी हम थोड़ा सा वरी थे लेकर, और आपने देखा एकदम ये पीक उसने पकड़ लिया था, स्पीड पकड़ा था. और बात हम करें जो डेटा की, डॉक्टर ने भी बोला जो कि वेव 1 में 5% से लेस देन आया है. आई थिंक वेव 1 में आया था 3 पॉइंट समथिंग एंड वेव 2 में भी अप्रॉक्स सेम था. बट दिस थर्ड वेव इज फॉर द किड्स. जैसे वेव 1 था, इट वाज फॉर 65 plus, second wave 40
actually, ma'am,
plus,
that's not correct. A lot of doctors have, denied that, said that, from where this rumor came that the third wave would affect children. But I'm completely out of time, so sorry. I'm going to have to leave it there. That this was some sort of fear that, unfortunately, even the media, spoke about. But I think since then, a lot of doctors and experts have said it's not true that the third wave will affect children more. In fact, it'll be a lot lesser than the second wave, thankfully. But we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much all for joining me on the program. A big day today, schools reopening in several states, in Delhi as well. Well, with that, time for us to slip into a short break. We'll get to more.
Last